let's just talk about this a little bit. The reason that I actually signed up to do this section is because I'm so tired of seeing some of the ways that people use social media, brands, and it just bores me to no end. And I often think to myself, like, why are you just setting up Twitter streams for business and just either tweeting out, hey, we're having a sale today, hey, we're having a special today, and only using it as a distribution method. And when I see a lot of things that other brands are doing that are very creative. So I wonder if maybe people just haven't seen that side of using social media. And I guess the kind of example that I would use is I have this old skateboard that I used to use when I skated, but now I'm old and out of shape, so I'm not using it. But I keep my skateboard, and I was moving when I moved here. I couldn't figure out how to get this big piece of furniture up to my apartment, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'll put it on my skateboard, and I started pushing it to my apartment, and now all the time I use my skateboard to move stuff. And I guess that's my example of showing that you can have something and use it in a lot of different ways, and it can still provide function and form. It's just all about how you apply it, and that's kind of what this is about.
Are you animal on Twitter?
I am, I'm sorry. Yeah. So the one thing that we say at Rich Ever, where I work, is to tell a good story. And then to leave them talking. And that's really a huge part of how we approach social media in our creative. I mean, I think the whole kind of approach to social media is about storytelling. And I think in advertising or marketing and PR, the best storyteller wins. That's something that Chris Hewer says a lot that I always thought was so clever. And a lot of times, that's what commercials are that you're watching. Like, you're trying to figure out what this commercial, last night I saw a commercial for Heineken. And it's like this elaborate spot. And they're like going through crazy parties and pulling the product out in different places, and it goes on and on. And I was like, why are they leading me through this story? But that's their story, that's how they're telling it. And the reason I'm telling you that is because you don't just have to tell your story through words on Twitter. There are a lot of different applications or approaches to using Twitter, and I'll go through a couple of them that have nothing to do with sending tweets. So that's just something to think about. Quick, I just highlighted some game changers that have kind of relatively recently happened. Mobile. Mobile app functionality is definitely a game changer. Facebook, I wouldn't say necessarily just the fact that Facebook is there. I talked a little bit about how the social graph and its portability has changed who's in control of your brand. The fact that it allows you massive growth and viral power, and also now that monetization comes into play, makes it kind of a powerhouse. Go for it.
Could you explain what is social graph portability?
Sure. Basically, it's the ability to, for me, wherever I go, to carry 1,300 people with me.
Okay.
Fast distribution. So communities like Twitter and Google Plus are sharing information and news quickly. And then social capital. And this is, it's just interesting to see how if you switched over to like Google social search, how when I search for something, I'll see my friend's recommendations or conversation about it instead of what most people have clicked on first. And also, people are searching for a lot of things first in Facebook, so they're actually looking for their friends' recommendations before they're searching in search engines. So it's just something to think about. All right. And for us, usually, for me, ultimate goal is to build brand awareness and interaction on social media platforms among our peers. So I thought I would show one example of that that we did recently for Under Armour. And then I would show you a couple other executions out there, and then maybe you guys can split up and work on something. For real quick. Sorry, so hold on. If I can get out of this screen. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the sound, so everybody be really quiet. All right, do you see that? Yeah. Ooh, sorry. HTML5. Oops. Does it not? Oh, wait, I might be offline, hold on.
And your Wi-Fi's off.
Is it?
Yeah, see from the top it's off.
Yeah, no, I'm actually using a wireless card.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Where's this
It's
website?
anchor tagged though.
What's that?
It looks anchor tagged to the bottom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to see on this. Come on. Up.
How does the world's most innovative performance brand generate brand ambassadors in the social world? With the Under Armour Ultimate Intern Team, our nationwide search to find 2 elite candidates to be chosen for the summer of a lifetime, the application process was built right into Under Armour's Facebook presence, with students being asked to submit a 140-character cover letter and anything else to prove their social savvy. Candidates created original Facebook pages, YouTube videos, Tumblr pages, and more. Excitement for the overall program was generated through paid media, PR, and other social media channels. Over 1,300 students applied, and thousands more came to check it out. In fact, over the 6-week application process, Under Armour's Facebook page received 120,000 new likes, and newsfeed impressions jumped 45% to 3.5 million per week.
Congratulations on landing a spot on the Under Armour Ultimate Intern Team.
The winners, 2 eager college students, and 1 socially charged powerhouse brand.
So, what's interesting?
How does the
Sorry,
world's
I
most
forgot it.
innovative
Loops.
performance brand generate brand impact?
So the interesting thing about this, and the one thing I wanted to point out, where it says paid media, the only paid media that supported this particular initiative was pre-existing banners that Under Armour had on ESPN Live, that they worked in underneath the existing creative, a small mention, hey, try out for the Ultimate Intern Team. That's it. And those actually only ran for 1 to 2 weeks of the 6-week program. So the majority of it relied on word of mouth. And when Under Armour came, yeah, go ahead.
What about the big thing in Town Square? You didn't have to do that?
That was actually PR related.
Okay.
That was a photo that we ran with the press release that they showed on the Times Square Jumbotron.
Okay.
So the Under Armour came to us and they basically said, we want to build up our Facebook page. It's been really slow growth. We're not sure what to do. We don't have a huge budget. We don't have a ton of money. What do you guys think? So we thought about it for a long time. This actually came out of, we went down to Under Armour and we met with a bunch of guys there and we kind of just observed what goes on there. And Under Armour is an interesting company because everybody who works for Under Armour, it's like a cult. Everybody who works for Under Armour is totally psyched to be there. Like, the parking lot is full at like 8 a.m. People are just totally stoked to get there. And I think a lot of it is the culture. I mean, they have a basketball court in-house that you can go play on at any time. They have awesome trainers who work out with you, pretty much whenever you want as your schedule permits. And they have this huge kind of team-like culture, which is interesting. And that is kind of what sparked this idea. We were like, you guys talk so much about, your athletes or the sports. Why don't you talk about who you are? Because that's really awesome. People would be totally psyched about it. And that's kind of where the Ultimate Intern Team came from. So we started there, but we knew that one thing that we didn't want to do is, it's tricky because we were actually offering internships, which is an HR, legal issue. We really needed to kind of follow equal employment opportunity type guidelines, legal guidelines, it was a paid internship, so all that comes into play. So we couldn't make it a popularity contest where people just vote for their friends. So there was an application process which we vetted, and then there were a number of, we went down to the top 100, top 50. And as we did that, the way that we kind of baked in viral was each time you got to that level. So the first level was, are you qualified, you know, through academics and extracurricular activities. But the next challenges were social media related, and that's where the viral came baked in. So we just started layering on stuff, top 50, top 20, top 10. And that's where things like Facebook pages and the YouTube videos and all that started happening, and that's when we really saw traction. Kids were going out there and getting their whole schools to come on our page and be active and talk about them and just be psyched. And then they started creating other pages that were sending hundreds and thousands of people over to our page from the page that they set up. So it really showed the power of these people leveraging their personal social graphs to kind of get this end goal. And the two interns that we got were just like amazing powerhouses. They both moved back to school. One of them continues to tweet about Under Armour, kind of as a surrogate intern and is already, you know, planning to come back. So for Under Armour, it was a huge win, and they're trying to figure out different ways that they can work with these kids. Did you guys have any questions about that? Okay. So I thought, yeah,
What is Under Armour?
Under Armour is athletic apparel. Like,
You wear it underneath an athletic jersey and it keeps you warm. And it's
not
really expensive,
wet,
but people buy the hell out of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Everyone who's consumed every pixel of that knows it already.
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely.
Underwear.
Yeah. What did you think, Cecily?
Armor. That wasn't, I said, I thought it was something underwearish. Madison said deodorant.
You're not serious about it, but you're wearing Under Armour.
So, I guess before I get into this, the one thing that I would just recommend to you is when you're starting to think about where you want to be or what you want to do, always you have to define your business objective. So what are you trying to do? I mean, are you trying to build awareness for a brand? Are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to get people to speak back to you or speak to you, or what's your call to action? And from that you can, you know, create your strategy. Usually there's almost never, ever, ever a time I will recommend social media on itself. I'll always integrate it with something bigger. Whether that includes some separate kind of big PR initiative, a promotion, an ad buy, something. It always is part of a bigger thing. The other thing that you need to do is look at where your consumer is. I'm showing some stuff in Facebook right now because there's 800 million people in Facebook. Chances are that part of your consumer's in there. And I don't know, have any of you looked at Facebook Studio by chance? So this is a new area that Facebook has launched. They launched it in, I want to say, 4 months ago. And this is an effort that they are pushing to engage agencies more in using their platform, because obviously they know that the more people they get to build on their platform, the more money that they'll generate. Shocking. But basically in here, agencies are putting some of the best case studies of things that they've done or built on Facebook to either to achieve some type of call to action. So I thought I would show you a couple of these. One of the things that I thought was really cool is the Coke Light Machine. Obviously, Coke does awesome stuff. But what's interesting about the Coke Light Machine, and this is a lot of the way that we think about social media, I don't always think that social media starts on Twitter or Facebook. I think it ends there, or it's discussed there. But a lot of times I'll suggest something that happens in real life, like we'll suggest some type of movement or groundswell or event that people will want to share. Because I think the power of social media is the fact that you're harnessing people's ability to reach out to other people. So what we need to do if we're being creative on social media is think of the idea that people want to share. What is so cool that I need to tweet it? What is so awesome that I need to take a picture and post it? That's what we do. Not necessarily set up a Twitter feed to talk about us. So let's take a look at what Coke did here. Always a buffer.
Coca-Cola Village is the summer promotion of the Coca-Cola Company for teenagers. Coca-Cola challenged us to drive additional excitement around the experience of the village in social media. In response, we came with a revolutionary idea, the first ever like machine. We brought Facebook to the real world by connecting the physical experience of the village to its virtual experience online through Facebook like scanners, installed in 32 points of interest around the village. The teenagers who were given wrist bracelets, loaded with their Facebook usernames and passwords, could share with their friends on Facebook their activities in the pool, the restaurant, the game room, and even their photos. The results were amazing. The 7,000 kids that stayed at the village generated 350,000 posts, 500,000 likes, and a lot of buzz in the media worldwide.
It's pretty awesome.
Coca-Cola liked our results a lot.
Well, so that's just another kind of cool example. Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't there a concern though at some point that when these kids wake up and realize that they're just being like used as shills for Coke and, I mean, what?
Was there a concern when you were a teenager? Did you wear a Coke t-shirt?
I did not.
Well, did your friends? Did any of them?
Well,
I
not
remember.
Coca-Cola.
Budweiser?
I remember when I was a kid and everybody was wearing Nike t-shirts
Yeah.
and
Spuds
my
McKenzie.
totally. And my parents would say, "Did Nike pay to wear that t-shirt?"
Yeah.
And I never got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing a Vespa shirt now. I've worked on them before, but yeah, I mean, I like them,
Yeah.
so I just wear them, you know, it's just.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like how many things do you wear that are not specifically branded in one way or another?
Yeah.
You have Kate Spade bags, or, you know, I was wearing my weird Vibrams and getting attention yesterday and stuff.
Right, right. I mean, it just, the question you pose is an interesting, bigger question, for sure, about, I think, just ethics and consumerism
Yeah.
as a whole.
There's some teens for whom that
Probably
doesn't
not a
work.
place for it, but-
If somebody's wearing a shirt, teens for whom that doesn't work, that's
Yeah.
not your target.
For sure.
If somebody's wearing a shirt or anything else, I mean, they're getting more out of the company. I'm wearing a Guinness shirt today. I'm getting more out of it because I feel, you know, it's something that I enjoy more than Guinness is getting out of it. So,
Right.
you know, I think it's.
And this
it's goes
experience
two ways.
maybe is worth it. Obviously, it was worth it enough for them to like it, post about it, write about it. It got them excited. It gave them a buzz or whatever it is that they needed to be excited about something. So they're not walking away used and abused.
No, I don't think that either.
So I don't think they think that is, I guess what I'm
I
saying.
just wonder what the shelf life is for this one. When
How does that comply with Facebook's TOS?
There's no, what do you think is a,
Well, something that comes up in the, sorry, Bengals.
yeah.
Something comes up in the, I'm sorry.
Now she gets it.
These two over there were live tweeting the Bengals show last night. It took me a minute to register that. Yeah, that's where that came
But
from.
like something that comes up a lot in the Mumbleton community is people running contests and asking people
For sure,
to
yeah.
like their something in order to enter the contest. And of course
Yeah.
that violates Facebook's
That is
terms
no
and
longer
services.
in their TOS.
It isn't?
No. Facebook,
Oh
no.
my God.
You can require somebody to like a page to enter a contest.
You can?
Yes. However,
Usually it
you
had
can
to be behind the
only
like wall.
post.
They could see the contest behind the like wall. So the contest, they had
Right,
to click
that's what I
like.
mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's different than saying like our page as an entry.
Well, the only way that you can enter a contest is through a third-party app.
Right.
Right.
So the start of that app would be like our page.
Contests are different because they're winning something. In this case, they weren't promised anything by using this like machine.
Right.
So
This-
I think
everything
that's
here was
really
out
why-
there.
They would just, yeah.
You weren't
playing
required to
waterfall.
sign into Facebook to get
Yeah, right.
into the Coke Village.
But
You were invited into the experience and then there was an opportunity to share it. But it wasn't a requisite, so.
I have a question,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is comparable to what the topic of your speech is, but, or your talk, but I always find it really interesting to see what agencies do as far as social media, but like, how do you scale that if you're a blogger or a small business person? I mean, like, I can't build a light box.
Mhm.
I don't wanna pay a developer to do, to do an Under Armour video like that, and I certainly can't advertise in Times Square. So
Mhm.
how can I be creative with the resources which I have, which is for most of me and my clients, Zilch?
Yeah, a couple of things. There are a couple of, and actually for the Under Armour thing, I'll mention that the app that we used, and you saw we skinned it and made it look nice.
Mhm.
It was actually a prefab app made by Wildfire.
Oh, really?
Which you can just pay anywhere from a few $100 to into the $1,000
Yeah,
to customize it. I don't recommend Wildfire because I have had, you can use that, it works. I don't like working with them as people.
Oh.
I'm just telling you that. I had a really bad experience, they just weren't able to make deadlines again and again and again. I'm actually looking at right now a company called Involver with 2 V's. They also make a prefab do-it-yourself kind of sweep, sign up, contest, all these different utility function apps.
Cool, thank you.
And it's like $1,000 to do. I mean, it's not like it's unaffordable. Another kind of thought thing that we could, I'll give you one other example. For this season and I don't have final stats and figures, so we'll have to talk through it. We did a project for HBO to promote Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm. And it's funny because Larry has to personally sign off on any marketing that you do for the show. And if you watch the show, you'll know that Larry's very particular about what he does. He's very picky. So we presented a ton of ideas, and the one idea that he went for was barely social media involved, but we knew that it would attract some social media. And that was, we put together small marching bands of musicians. It was like 5 or 6 musicians with like a tuba and horn instruments, dressed like Larry David, so khaki sneakers, blue shirt, and blazer, and his hat. And we put them in New York and LA, and they played the theme song. That's it. They walked around, they looked like Larry David, and they played the theme song. But it ended up getting a ton of tweets and Facebook posts and Flickr photos, and people put videos on YouTube, and bloggers came out and covered it because it was such a spectacle. And that was something really low budget, no ad buy, not even, they didn't even put PR toward it, they just kind of wanted to see what happened. And that's an example of how you can do something. If you have something creative enough and interesting enough to make people stop and look, then chances are you can generate some social media from it. Do you guys want to try breaking out? Yeah.
Tweeting that you said you were going to show some things you can do on Twitter.
Sure.
Besides the tweeting.
Yeah, let me show you one thing that I thought was interesting. So this is called Pay by Tweet. And I just thought it was a kind of cool thing. I think RGA created this, a New York agency. And here they talk about in today's world, the value of people talking is sometimes higher than the money you get for it. So Pay by Tweet is a social payment system where people pay with the value of their social network. And you basically the way that this works is you put this button on your content, and you can give away, like, let's say a PDF of content or something. I'll play the video for you, if you agree to send a tweet about it.
Yeah.
Pay with a tweet lets people sell and buy stuff online with just the value of their social network. Here's how it works. If you want to sell your song, book, movie, coupon, or whatever, just fill out the form and embed your personal Pay with a Tweet button into your website. People then simply click on the Pay with a Tweet button, log onto your Twitter or Facebook account, tweet or post about the product, and are then able to download the file. When someone pays with a tweet or posts to Facebook, it reaches all their followers and friends, leading to more people paying with a tweet. Pay with a Tweet launched in the summer of 2010 with the release of innovative Gardner's book. Just 3 days later, their server crashed twice due to 13,000 plus downloads of the book. The book became the third most trending topic on Twitter worldwide, and that was during the World Cup. To date, people have downloaded over 170,000 copies of the book, with 350,000 visitors to the site without any paid media. And it's become a hit for others. Music artists, authors, and directors are using it. And big brands like Greenpeace, Microsoft, and Brazilian superstar Luanza. To date, over 10,000 paid for tweet buttons
That's pretty cool.
have led to 400,000 people paying for something. The tweet in just 6 months. What if first was a campaign for Innovative Thunder's book became the world's first social payment system. In turn, helping thousands of
Buffer.
all over the world to spread. Well, not really for free, but for the price of a tweet.
So I thought that was a kind of interesting approach to incorporating Twitter. And RGA, I think they built this as kind of a way to get their name out there, nothing else, and probably tied to, you know, a client. But there was one other kind of interesting, let me see if I can find it. There we go. There was one thing that Jeep did, and here we go.
Twitter is one of the biggest social networks today with more than 300 million users. But it's a place where advertising is not allowed. Our goal was to be accepted by the consumer as a part of that social media. How? Deep Puzzle, a simple game that uses Twitter structure so people can have fun. On Twitter, every time you follow someone, his picture appears at the bottom of your page, creating a grid composed of 36 images of the people you are following. We realized that those 36 pictures, if combined, would become one whole image. So, we created special profiles that were pieces of a landscape image. Following them in the right order, you assemble the puzzle, displaying the complete image on your page. The first ones to do it and tweet they completed it win prizes that are related to the brand and to the assembled puzzle. G-Puzzle is a game you don't need to download. It is not an application. It just uses Twitter as a platform. The idea was a huge success among Twitter users, and in just a few weeks, we received players from all over the world, including those who drive other cars. With some artwork creating profiles and a few branded gifts, we were able to create a great promotion with a huge media value. Not bad for such a cheap idea. G-Puzzle, a Twitter hit.
So that's kind of a cool thing. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of wondering, because, you know, sometimes when we're running into clients, you know, we get into the social media if it's free, like a puppy is free sort of issue, and they expect, you know, a lot of things to be really low cost, and if you say, okay, you want to run a contest, this is as easy as just saying, I'm running a contest on Facebook, you know, you need to get an app, you need to do different things and whatever, and it gets much more complicated. With every, you know, and even people like Jeep and saying, hey, we're trying to cheap this out as low as possible. I mean, is that cheapening and hurting, you know, agencies like Red Tenenmer and everybody else, you know? I guess it just sort of seems like there's a race to the bottom here in a way that people, there's a lot of stuff at the bottom where people aren't really getting what they're paying for. I mean, I had a client who wanted to run something, and, you know, they're like, well, we'll judge it all by the number of likes. And I'm like, yeah, but if your goal is to actually get people inside your business, likes don't mean anything.
Yeah.
And if you're really generating likes that are from people in San Diego, and you're trying to get people into your business in Delaware, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, you look popular, but it's like buying a prom date, you know, it doesn't really get you too end goal.
Yeah, totally.
I just want to add on to that just a little, because Seth Godin had a blog this week about infinity. And now that we're able to have an infinity amount of followers or an infinity amount of fans, like, what should your standard be? If
Right.
it's 100,000, should it be 2? If it's 2, should it be 5 or 1 million? I mean, like, or do you ever reach your goal? Or should your goal be something besides who likes you and who follows you, who you're, you know what I mean, how big your audience can get? Because who cares if you don't get anything from it?
I don't think, yeah, and infinity is an interesting question. I guess I would throw it back to Seth is, the goal isn't followers. The goal is whatever your business objective is. And then you take your business objective and you look at your entire marketing plan and decide what you need to do to get people to that business objective.
Right, I think that's his point.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it shouldn't be
Yeah, no.
numbers, but so many people use that as a measure of success.
Yeah.
But because you're allowed unlimited, how can you measure it? How can you measure success based on that?
Mhm.
That's
Well,
all.
but I think that's
And you
teaching
know,
clients
Seth-
not to be stupid is what we have.
Totally. Education, yeah.
And I also, as somebody who has a lot of a big social graph, I have less engagement the bigger I get.
That's a huge point,
Yeah.
actually. I think that's one of the most interesting learnings of social media, which I picked up from you, is that factor. And I wonder, it's tough. I think maybe you have less engagement, but I don't know if you have less influence.
Mm.
Because anything that you tweet, let's look at what you did with the Amazon.com thing. So Cecily had tweeted that, what was it, a book that instructed?
It was a
pedophile?
book, you know the pedophile scandal on Amazon last year? The Amazon was selling a downloadable book that was a how to be a pedophile book.
Oh,
And I tweeted, somebody found it, a friend of mine found it, and she's like, I've been tweeting this, I'm getting nowhere, can you retweet it? And I tweeted just simply, gee, Amazon, do you think this book is a good idea? That's all I said. And, yeah, it,
How long did it take them from the time that you did
my,
that?
well, I
till
use
you pulled it?
TweetDeck, and TweetDeck runs in real time. My ad column with retweets looked like the Matrix. It was so fast. It was like,
Wow.
it did. It had like 2,000 retweets, and of course it exploded from there. And by the end of that day, Amazon took the book down.
Yeah, so that's how fast.
You know, then of course, but there is the side thing, the side story, where there's this graph of, well, you know, this is horrible, to, oh my God, Cecily's pro censorship, and let's maybe kill Cecily, and blah, blah, blah. So there's always that social media bell curve where it's like you start out being awesome, and then you become the asshole.
Well, that's the power of social media. You
perception,
can
yeah.
talk to them, but you have to remember that they talk back.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That too.
At the same time, you know, for 50 years or more, ad agencies have been trying to measure awareness, and actually creating awareness as a metric. So it's not like, I think to some degree, I agree there has to be a business objective associated with just people with followers and the like, but at the same time, it makes putting your finger on a very important indicator, preliminary indicator of purchasing, and it makes it so much easier to you know, really measure that on a real-time, ongoing basis. So I
Yeah.
think it's still a very relevant indicator. Some things are stupid. I mean, you know, I actually had to go into an office at a gas station, which I haven't had to do it forever, but the card swipe wasn't working. And they had to follow us on Facebook, and I just thought, is that really necessary? You know, how's that gonna, that's just kind of doing it because everybody's doing it. But I think, you know, the Coca-Colas of the world, you know, they're the Jeeps of the world. I mean, there's, you know, awareness leads to a moderate level of engagement, can snowball into significant engagement, and that becomes a very valuable business asset. So I don't
Right,
think
but
it's
it goes back
just.
and forth, you know, when I go to Pottery Barn and they want to, you know, have me follow them on Twitter or, you know, like them on Facebook or, you know, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily be Pottery Barn's friends, they're not coming over and cooking me dinner or watching my children.
No.
See, I follow them as a blogger because I totally want them to decorate my house.
Oh, no, absolutely.
If they follow me first, I'm like, hello, Pottery Barn. Yes, I will follow.
Oh, no, and there's stuff like that, I agree. Yeah, and there's stuff like that, and that's a quid pro quo. I mean, if there's an advantage or whatever else, but I think there's this sense of, you know, who's your friend and what does being your friend actually mean? Because in the real world, I would much rather have you as a friend than just a online
You a friend with benefits.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
another
girlfriend, you'll
section.
have to talk to me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean-
Bottom line,
Oh, yeah, oh, they were.
I always find how you can, the bigger you get, that you are getting less engagement, but there's no diminishment of influence. Can you explain that disconnect?
Yeah, I think what's interesting about Cecily is that how many people are following you now? It's like stupid, I have to laugh.
58,000.
It's so ridiculous. So, so 15,000 people talk to Cecily, but sometimes I'll see her at night and she'll be like, nobody's talking to me.
There's
It's
times
so
where
funny.
even that I feel invisible because I'll tweet something and nobody will respond.
Nobody will
And then I'll
respond.
meet people in real life at a conference and I'll be like, oh, you're so busy, you get so
Totally.
mad. I don't want to bother you. I'm like, dude, nobody is adding me. No,
And
no,
you
I mean,
reply back
well,
to
that's
lots of
not
nice
all.
things.
Yeah.
You
I do,
actually
I reply to every ad. I
But
reply to every ad again.
just because they're not talking to her doesn't mean they're not listening. So if so my example with Cecily is, she tweeted the Amazon thing and got the ball rolling. Somebody else was tweeting it and wasn't getting anywhere, and reached out to her, and as soon as she did that, and whether it's because media follow her, or whether it's because a lot of other bloggers who are kind of invested in following her, or follow her, whatever it was, her influence got hundreds and hundreds of retweets, which then caught mainstream media's attention. Without that book could still be on Amazon.
Yeah, actually, may I ask this?
Yeah.
Your friend that sent it to you, and she's saying, I'm getting nowhere with this. Can you now say she was successful getting somewhere? Because it could be like getting
Well,
something
she
to like thousands of
technically-
people.
She broke the story.
Right.
She stumbled across the book while she was on Amazon.
Right, but
And
she's
she
not-
broke the story.
Okay, I apologize. I'm
Yeah.
stuck in a train of thought. I apologize for that. What I'm saying is, I mean, I guess that's what with social media. You just have to get it to the right person. You can try to get you say, oh, I got like 50 million followers, but like if all of them are bots or someone's got you like not
Totally.
even in any list, what's the point? It's all
Spammers.
about getting to the right person.
Exactly.
Yes, but
Well, and
what
the
would you
reason-
consider her friend that Bridget broke to her? Would you consider successful or?
Totally, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, yeah, and the thing is the reason that was particularly successful is because my community is mom bloggers.
Right.
And mom bloggers get all fired up about pedophilia.
Right.
So that
It
means
just
you
gets
pick
it to
the
the right person.
Right,
Right.
but if I tweet about some of the political things I care about, I get zero.
Exactly, because political talk is such a like a dicey subject anyway.
Totally.
But you know who to go to if you want to make a fuss about something.
You know.
It's just
Yeah.
a Colorado.
Right. We just did it again with JCPenney with that stupid sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah, I saw
What's that?
Wait, what?
It was a sweatshirt that said, I'm too pretty to do my homework, so I paid my brother to do it.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty offensive.
Yeah, we were like, no.
They pulled that before
Yeah,
the
it was
event.
45 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
45 minutes.
But I didn't know where they and that ended up on Gawker, I saw that. Yeah, so it's all about kind of finding the right ways in, and that's a very strategic thing to do. The other thing, what was I gonna say about that, actually? You made me think of something else. I can't remember. Does anyone else have questions, thoughts, comments?
Very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
It's interesting though, because
Yeah,
it
it does.
makes me think about like how big does somebody get before it actually, it feeds into that whole personal branding thing. When do you get to a point where you are the most popular, you're
went on
the
your
proclamation,
blog.
nobody asks you to.
Have you read the book?
I just I hardly ever update it. My blog is like
how much she hates
like
it.
an episode of Hoarders. I never update it. So bad. But I relatively recently wrote something about I don't believe in personal branding.
Yeah.
And I talked about it there a little bit.
But personal branding believes in you, man.
It does. Let's talk about that for a minute, because what if you're a consultant? Don't you need to brand yourself because you're.
That's your business. You're branding your business.
But you also need to sell you.
No, there's a difference. You are not your business. That's one of the most
But if you're a
important things.
consultant, you are. Your brain
You
is
are
what
the
you're selling.
spokesperson. You are the front man. You are not the product you're selling. And the reason I remind people of that is a lot of people set up a consultancy to be bought so that they're part of a larger company and then cash out. Do not totally, what happened, a great example of this is with Tierney. What happened when Tierney was bought? He had to, and then he lost his name, and then what? And then he set up T2. And that was fine, because it wasn't his name. But Brian Tierney he lost his name, and that's fine, he might not care, he has millions
I
off
mean,
that sale.
maybe for a price, I'd give mine up too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, but the point is, I wouldn't sell myself, we're human. We have flaws, that's setting yourself up for disaster. You need to figure out a way to separate the two.
I mean, like, I have a business name, and I'm me, you know, and they're integrated.
Yeah.
But when I read that, and I just like skimmed it briefly, because I just saw it like 20 minutes ago. But like, I'm still not sure I agree with it, only because people hire me, not because of my brand, not because of my company, not because of what my company's done in the past. The whole company is me. They hire me for my knowledge,
Okay,
for what
but
I can do for them.
Right,
Absolutely.
but this is what happens, you are not scalable infinitely.
Yes.
And this is exactly what's happened to, and I will pick on him because he's big and famous and also a client,
Correct.
Brogan.
Yeah.
You know, Brogan's big
Totally.
problem is, you know, as he tries to scale and rolls out all these different communities and stuff like that, people think that they're buying access to
Mhm.
Chris, but Chris still only has 24 hours in a day. So how many times can you subdivide that pie and still give people what they think that they're buying?
Right, I
And that's
think-
the problem when you try and insert a proxy, when you try and scale. If your personal brand is just you actually are not necessary. The scalability problem ends up creeping up on you and it will eat your lunch.
Yeah,
Well, and
you
Annie
need to
makes a
sell the
distinction.
product. The product is your intelligence, it's what you do, it's your skill set. It is not you. I can't stress that enough because it's a losing proposition to do that. It's a losing proposition to try to sell a person. Go ahead.
My point of view of that is just that because, you know, I'm a small business owner, I'm an event planner. So I'm offering a service, but I want my business to be profitable and to grow. So eventually, my company will be able to do more than one event on a day. So you might not get me
Yes.
at the event, but you'll get somebody from my team. So
I
that's
agree.
why I wouldn't want to sell me as a person, because you may have an event done by Carter Girl Events, but it might not be the Carter Girl at your event managing it, but it'll be somebody that represents what the company represents and what the team represents.
Well, and Annie also makes a distinction about somebody like me as a personality versus.
Right,
Right.
right, exactly.
I mean, is Madonna a personal brand? Madonna is a brand
Right.
with a product.
Yes.
Many products, actually. But that's the difference, is identifying the product within, the brand may have a person's name, you know what I'm saying?
I do now, yeah.
It's like really understanding what your product is. You have a product, you have a skill set, you have things that you're selling, knowledge.
I love that it was like, you're Madonna, that's the
It just kills me when people are like, my personal brand. And the first people who do my personal brand lose their person. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
I no longer hear about that. I think that, I don't want to, I won't name names actually, but there's one person on Twitter who I used to like, who was a social media person, and I genuinely enjoyed talking to them. And they started leading these chats, and I no longer heard any more about them. I remember that I first started talking to them because they liked MASH, and we would talk about that. And then I started to read their business stuff. And I only read their business stuff because I thought they were fun. We talked about MASH or whatever else, and then I just stopped reading them because I forgot who they were. They weren't a person anymore. So I think it's a fine balance of that type of engagement. I agree with you though. I do business with people I like and know.
It's hard because like on
That's
my
different.
page, even though it's my company's logo and my company's name, I'm still me. I'm still saying
Yeah.
I went here today. I don't post as like my company is, you know, Digital Stew is taking care of blah, blah, blah today. Like I still am myself. I mean, and she's right, like.
But that's
like,
okay.
It
That's
can grow.
good.
Eventually, hopefully I'll have more designers and more consultants and it'll grow and, you know, and be scalable, but
Yeah.
I don't know, like I still feel like I have to build relationships as me and not my company.
Oh, no, and
Of course.
right, but you're building
That's
relationships as the head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
network,
that
that's
personal,
right.
I mean, it's hard for me, because I just taught a class yesterday about how to brand yourself through all your channels and your website, because there's so many people out there.
Well, that's
that
marketing.
Everything looks, right, it's marketing, but everything looks different.
Yeah.
And I'm a personal example where like, if you use the same profile picture on people know where they are. They understand that they're
I
in the
agree
right
with that,
place.
yeah.
But that's personal branding. That's, to me, in my head, that's personal branding. No matter where you go, you're gonna see the same picture, you'll know you're talking to the right person.
But that's you, but I mean, that there's a position, I think, that what we're trying to do is dissect that you are the CEO of Digital Stew. Digital Stew is a business that can provide a bunch of different
Right.
services. So therefore, Digital Stew is a brand in and of itself. And there,
That's true.
you know, if you become if you're only Jessica and you're not Digital Stew, then you don't have the opportunity to scale in the same way because you can't add to the team, right? Because if you're
Right.
just selling Jessica,
Right.
only people want Jessica. They don't want Jessica, they don't want Digital Stew, and Jessica is the front person for that.
Yeah. And what about when Digital Stew becomes even bigger than you? And you need to be able to sell in the people that you've brought on, you know?
I mean, I have a client with that problem, she's a Pilates instructor, and even though her company is Vital Pilates, like, people only wanna work with Mara, they don't care if she has other Pilates instructors.
Right,
But
that's
it's
the problem.
not branded as Mara's Pilates,
Mhm.
but they still they don't wanna work with the other people, because she was once just her, I guess.
Right.
That's a very hairy,
Well, it's a thing.
I mean, growth is always painful, but like,
You need to look, I think the Wendy's example is
yeah,
it.
I agree, and
Like,
that's I saw
Yeah,
that.
it's like the Dave to Wendy's. And I mean, that actually, a lot of people argue that Dave to Wendy's became too ubiquitous